Today, guys, I'm going to be talking about worm castings and the benefits of worm castings. You know, we should use worm castings because it's beneficial to our plants, which is a superfood to our plants. You see, worm castings are an organic kind of fertilizer derived from the earthworms that are nutrient rich and can benefit all types of plants, including vegetables, perennials, flowers, fruit trees, herbs. And it even seems safe to use with seedlings since it's very difficult to overdo. So let me show you some worm castings that I have that I'm fixing to put into the greenhouse to my seedlings. And I've actually already put a little bit in there from past worm castings that I've collected. But today, that's what I'm going to do because these plants are ready for its nutrients, for its superfood. So let me take you over here to the worm casting bucket, because you want to, when you collect your worm castings, you want to make sure you put a lid on it. You don't want it to dry out. You want to make sure you kind of keep some of the air out like you would do into most nutrients. So let's go over here to my bucket and let's take a look at these beautiful, rich fertilizer. So this is my 5-gallon bucket. And, you know, we want to take notice that one of the things we noticed over the last few years of visiting nurseries and other stores selling garden supplies, that it's growing ability of worm castings. They're starting to really sell worm castings, but they're really expensive. The big box home and garden stores now carry the best soil amendments nature provides. And so this is one of the best garden fertilizer that nature provides. So, check this out. This is what they call black gold. And so it's very rich in nutrients. Matter of fact, I see little seedlings growing up in here. That kind of looks like a tomato plant, which I do get a lot of tomatoes plants. That is exactly what it is, a tomato plant. So for my worm castings, because I throw some vegetables in there, especially tomatoes, then I find out that I end up having tomatoes to grow, and they end up being very delicious. Here is worm casting fertilizer. It's made from worm poop, and it's so rich. This is how you know when your worm castings is ready. It's like into a ball. It's really fluffy, and very light. I also see some other kind of worms in here. Now I don't know if there's any earthworms in here, because this container has been shut up for a couple of days. I see some eggshells, which is perfectly fine. But I am ready to put this into the greenhouse. But let me show you one of my worm bins. Once again, lid back on. So this is a cast iron tub that was taken out of a bathroom when I remodeled this year. And I have it sitting up on cinder blocks at a slant. So when water gets in there, or if I water it, then it's gonna, it's not gonna be just totally saturated. The worms want it wet, moist, but they don't want it just drowning. You don't want to drown your worms. Over here, which usually I have a bucket here, and any excess moisture drains out into a bucket. A lot of people say don't use that, but I don't have any problem with it. When moisture gets in there, we have a rain. So as this tub filling up, because I have in the bottom of this, I have a 1/4 hardware wire cut square and caulked at the top of that drain. And then just my PVC running out, and it drains right into a bucket. So if I water it, if I have to water it, most of the time the rain does pretty much all the watering because it is on the slant. Then all that secretion goes into the bucket. Here, I just put metal on top of it. I hold it down with some bricks. This is landscaping cloth. It keeps it dark. It also allows it to breathe. I got my wood here because I want to make sure my worms are breathing. What's up under here is breathing. It's not, you know, be all moldy and all that stuff. And this right here is just like egg carton paper, but it's like to feed chicks, little goodies. And I just placed it on top of there. I haven't been in here a while, and I noticed that it has gone down. Now this has been sitting here for a couple months, and it was up to here. So the worms are doing, and I put straw on top of it because straw doesn't, it takes a long time for straw to decay. I did have hay onto it, but you know, I decided to put straw because my aim is to keep the moisture in. I see busted eggshells, and this is not long getting ready. We just had a good dose of rain, so this is why I like to put my little drain thing down there and keep my tub slanted. So this is pretty wet down here on this end, but the worms are fine with it. It is loaded down with worms. It's got eggshells into it, and it's loaded down with worms. I'm into the shade, but I keep it in the shade because you don't want to get hot. Some people go and stir it up. Like I said, we just had this wet, so this end right here is pretty wet, but the worms don't seem to mind it at all. These are the red wigglers, and this is my fertilizer. That's my future fertilizer. But like I said, we had a good amount of rain, but these worms don't seem to mind it. On the other end, if they did, they can go to the other end. But I just come out here and I dig a hole, and I throw my scraps in here. So we'll put that baby back in there. I'll take my straw and cover it up. I like to use these. Now you can use paper egg carton containers, cartons. But this is used, it's long, and it's use it to put baby feed in there, and it deteriorates, and it's, you know, it goes right back to the earth. So I use those also for my potatoes. When I harvest them, I set them in a cool, dark room. I put that on in case I have a rotten potato. And then the juice from that potato will go into that carton, that type of paper, and then it will not, you know, juice won't go onto the other potatoes. Now on this end, it's not as wet. I'm actually looking at this. This is getting just about to be ready. And so this is another area I've taken, put my worms in. Now we just came through, like, it was like 28 to 30 degrees this morning. So I'm sure these worms are a little bit deeper than from the surface because this soil is cool. But usually when it warms up, these worms will surface right to the top. But this is how I make worm castings. It's actually worm poop, and it is really superfood for your plants. Yep, they're coming up. It is loaded down with worms. That's some good stuff right there. So I haven't had time to come out here. What in the world is that? Oh my goodness. That's my grandson. He's 14 years old. I guess my granddaughter threw it in here. So we had this on to the teddy bear that he had when he was little. And I've been saving it. It had his name on it. So somehow it ended up in here, which is not what you want. That is definitely not what you want. I don't know how it ended up in here. I guess she just threw it in the pail. And I didn't catch it because it was probably loaded down with stuff. But this has got cabbage. I'll throw that over there. This has got cabbage and carrots. Now I want you to take a look at all those worms. That is, gosh knows, who knows how many worms that's there. Hundreds. So let me put them back in there. Wow. Oh my God. I hate to dig down here and hurt them. Well, check this out. So we're just going to cover them back up. There's a paper towel. It'll be just fine. Mix this up a little bit. Put some right here. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's crazy. Just absolutely crazy. You don't even have to do anything. Except the summertime, you need to make sure that it doesn't dry out. And this is why I put straw on top of it, because it doesn't deteriorate as fast. And I got some leaves in it. And it doesn't deteriorate as fast. And it keeps that moist. My board, put it over here to get my leverage. And I haven't had to water this because it's had rain. Oops, and we've had rain, and the rain and watering it for me. So the container doesn't look very pretty. I also have a freezer I haven't got started yet. Only because I want to put a 1/4 screen wire, 1/4 wire down the bottom, drill a hole so it makes sure it has its drainage. So you can use pretty much anything. I also have a small worm casting where I started at. I got off casting container that I got off Amazon. But worm casting manure is also known as vermicast. It's simply earthworm excrement, as we call it, worm poop. As these little worms here consume compost, they take this waste and acts as an excellent soil enricher. So worm castings is a vital nutrient to the plants, and it's also great for the soil. So when you start cultivating that soil, it's going to enrich that soil to make your plants grow super healthy. So this is definitely a beneficiary for your homestead, for your greenhouse, for your raised beds, for your container gardening, however you garden. Worm castings is a plus. It's very simple, very easy. You can get worms from actually off of Amazon, or you can go to to a fish store and buy just the regular worms and put them in there, because they're going to make their little worm poop. And then you can also study up on how to make worm tea. What's good about worm castings is that it's full of nitrogen, it's full of these nutrients for the soil, for the plant, but it's not like other fertilizers where it's going to like burn the plants. Now, I have had this sitting here for about 3 weeks, so once I do this right here, I usually let it sit there for about 3 weeks in a container, covered up, and just let it sit there. In the meantime, it's still breaking down and still making that beautiful black gold for any type of gardening needs. Well, guys, thank you so much. I hope this has helped you. If it has helped you, or inspired you, or gave you some insight, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and thank you so much for subscribing and helping me to get out there in YouTube land. Thank you so much, and please leave a comment. Let me know if you use worm castings, what you use it for, how long you've been using it. Because worm castings is so simple. Into the Tractor Supply, I have seen it for a little bag for like 18 bucks. So you're saying 20 bucks. Well, that's not going to really go that far, and it really doesn't take that much worm castings. But if you got a big gardening area, many gardening plots, raised beds, and however, house plants, then this is really simple and easy. You don't have to do anything. I haven't done anything except throw my scraps in there. So they're either going to go to the chickens, go back into the garden. They're going back. They're not, nothing is ever wasted here onto the homestead. So really, it actually helps you out in the long run. It makes your fertilizer. It feeds your plants. You don't have to do hardly anything. Just get your, whatever you're going to grow the worms into, worm castings, set it up for worm castings, whatever you're going to use. I think, you know, actually a cast iron tub or any tub, maybe a swimming pool. You know, just make sure you got good drainage, because you don't want to drown your worms, and the worms will do all the rest. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you on to the next video. So now I am going into the greenhouse, and I'm going to give my baby plants in here, I'm going to give them some worm castings and watch them grow. Come along with me and watch how these plants grow into the greenhouse. Now, after I spread this into my greenhouse, then I will water it down. And some people just use maybe about a tablespoon. As you see, I'm just sprinkling around, because I know when I move this soil around in here, to get it, whether to get it to breathe or, you know, as this soil's moving around, these worm castings are going to be in here. And since I have abundance here, then I'm just going to spread it all around in here. Most of the time I don't put it on top of the plant, just sprinkle it around, because, you know, I'm going to scruff around in here, get this dirt, and it's going to end up around the plant anyhow. These plants already got some fertilizer. They've already got a little bit of worm castings in there. So this is a 16 by 32 greenhouse, and so it has, you know, a lot of room, and so therefore I could definitely use these worm castings. I have potatoes there, and so they're not up, but the worm castings will be there for them. This cabbage here is about ready to harvest. And so it's really good, because you know later on you're going to be planting other things. As you're growing your plants, of course, it's going to take a lot of nutrients out of your soil. And so this is a good way of putting it back and preparing the soil for the future. So now I'll just give these a good dose of water, as much as I put in here. I don't let a whole lot of fertilizer get on top of my plants, but I'm fixing to water them. As much as I put in here very generously, and I still got a lot left. So now I put all the worm castings all throughout the beds. I just went ahead and used all of it. And I'm fixing to water. At the bottom of my container, my 5-gallon bucket, I did find some worms. So they're going in here. The thing about that is just that, you know, yeah, you'll have to add more dirt or soil, but you're going to have to add it anyhow. And so while these plants will be growing, the worms will be multiplying, and, you know, I'll just have to Hopefully they won't overtake the beds, but you know, I don't think they will. It'll just produce some good fertilizer. What I saw, there wasn't probably about 4 or 5 worms, 4 I think, but surely there's some worm eggs in there anyhow, so they'll hatch out. I have marigolds growing down there. They're scattered out, so that worm castings will be great for them.